Welcome back to the Express at Jericho Beach Park for the Vancouver Folk Music Festival. It's a bit of a wet day, but that's not stopping people from savoring in the fun. Before we show you more about that, we're going to talk about savoring the word. That's the theme this year at the Fraser Valley's Clearbrook Library for their kids programming. And they've got some special events that go right along with it.
There we go. Welcome to the library. Summer Reading Club is underway. Woo!
It's not about reading today at Clearbrook Library.
Why reading is so important for a server is I have to write down every piece of information for the kitchen.
It's about the taste of Italy.
How about this one?
The kids are going to be watching a professional chef make something good to eat.
It's not often a library hosts a cooking event, but that's exactly why Clearbrook chose to do something different.
Last year, the Clearbrook Library signed up about 2,500 children for Summer Reading Club. Society is just based on literacy, and we try to make it as fun as possible so kids will come in and use the library.
So, when we go through this, I'm going to be helping them out. We can giggle and we can laugh and we're going to have fun with this, okay?
There are over 3,000 kids signed up for the Summer Reading Club, and the theme for this year is Savor Each Word, fitting for this demo.
So I just want to go through some really important words for recipes.
Chef Michael and the Old Spaghetti Factory team jumped at the opportunity to teach these kids some chef skills, but also a bit about how a restaurant runs.
All right, so as soon as an order comes into the kitchen, as Jay mentioned, we read a ticket that comes up on a bill box. It's a good program for kids. I enjoy reading myself, so I probably go through about 2 to 3 cookbooks a month. It's always good to get kids reading.
One thing that I learned today is how to make a pasta salad.
About 2 ounces in weight. It's going in there.
Eli also learned why kids should keep up their reading skills in the summer.
If they don't know how to read, they don't know how to do a lot of things.
So we're just going to turn it on high speed.
It really was an event with food for thought. In Abbotsford,
So that's the recipe.
I'm Melanie Pineda for The Express.
Clearbrook's next event happens on July 21st, and it's called Mike's Critters, where kids get to meet all kinds of creepy crawly things. There's still 3 weeks left of the summer reading program, so it's not too late to sign up. Now you're watching The Express, and we have more from the Vancouver Folk Music Festival coming up, plus Bard on the Beach and a Whistler jet boating adventure. But first, it's a visit to the H.R. MacMillan Space Center.
All that's missing on this picture is the sound of an angry swarm of bees. Yes. Well, hi, it's Cam Cronin here at the H.R. MacMillan Space Center for the Express. And the image behind me here is an artist's representation of just how much stuff is up above us right now. And it's a lot of stuff up in space. A lot of satellites, a lot of pieces of space debris, a lot of old satellites that have outlived their life and are simply cruising around outside kind of as a speed bump for other satellites up in space. Well, there is a new technology being developed right here in British Columbia, a company called McDonald Detweiler & Associates, which most people associate with things like RadarSat-1, RadarSat-2, and the Canadian Robotic Arm. Quite an amazing company, and they've come up with, I think, one of the most innovative ideas I've heard of in a long time, which is a way of servicing satellites up in space. Now, when we send satellites up into space to broadcast things like telecommunications or GPS signals, they have a limited lifespan. Now, why is that? Well, they need energy, and of course, their energy eventually runs out. So the fuel that's on board these satellites eventually is diminished, and those satellites are put into a state of suspended animation, and eventually they burn up in the atmosphere. You and I see them as a beautiful shooting stars, whereas the other people who are making them see them as a waste of $20 million when they come burning down through the atmosphere. So McDonald Detweiler & Associates is working on an idea to send a serviceable satellite to these other satellites to be able to fix them, refill them, and extend their useful life. I think it's one of the most interesting ideas for the future of space. We already have these satellites up there. We spend a lot of money and time and energy to put them into space, so why not find some way of actually servicing them? You can't do that with astronauts. It's just too expensive to send an astronaut into space, but a tiny robotic satellite that could dock with these pieces, be able to remove an empty fuel canister, replace it with a full fuel canister, maybe clean off the optics on it, give it a quick little refresh, and then send it back into its orbit and allow that satellite to continue on for, say, another 8 or 9 or 10 years up in space is a fantastic technology. I think a lot of companies will find this as a huge tool to keep their fleet of satellites operating up in space. So a really neat idea, a very green idea, a very renewable idea, and one that I'm very excited about. So watch for that in the next few years as we start to actually do servicing missions on these satellites that are up in space. For the Express here at the H.R. MacMillan Space Center, I'm Cam Cronin, and happy stargazing.
You can go to spacecenter.ca to sign up your kids for the Mission Impossible Kids Summer Camp that's happening in August. Yeah, it is summer, and even though it's raining, that's not stopping the summer fun. After the break, dancing in the mud at Folk Fest.
I think that Folk Fest is twice as fun in the rain.
The Whistler Jet Boating Experience.
Whistler Jet Boating, it's not like Disneyland here. There's definitely no strings attached.
The Express. We are your local voice.
Community programming on Shaw has been generously sponsored in part by
hairstyling and color services for Shaw TV, provided by the Lounge Hair Studio. LoungeHairStudio.com.
Welcome back to the Express at Jericho Beach Park for the 34th Annual Vancouver Folk Music Festival. This truly is a Vancouver tradition. It's time for everybody to get their hippie on. Scanning the many crowds in front of the stages, you'll see faces of all ages. When you stop to chat with your neighbor, you'll often hear a story like this one.
I've been coming since I was like 2. Yeah, and I volunteered for the last 16 years. Yeah, so I come here every year.
These are traditions that extend through generations.
This is my 3rd year, and as a family it's fantastic. I like the kids area and everything like that. They have fun, ice cream, climbing wall. They look forward to it.
It's a great setup for families. Little folks 12 and under are admitted for free, and they have their own Little Folks Village. The festival also has a variety of food on site and other tricked-out amenities.
I just love the Folk Fest no matter what rain or shine. And you have to come down and use the VW ATM. I mean, this is a true sort of hippie vibe for the Folk Fest down here. It's a really good time.
Although 2011 saw more rain than sun, that didn't stop the boho boogieing.
I think that Folk Fest is twice as fun in the rain. How come? Because you get to dance in mud. When do you get to do that? In your bare feet.
And the consensus, when you ask the folks why they love the folk?
The music, the atmosphere, it just, I don't know, it just feels good being here.
I love it. Every year it is so much fun. You get to see all these different styles of music, and it's a great thing for the community. This really is one of my favorite summer events, and I tell you, dancing barefoot in the rain is just as much fun as dancing barefoot in the sun. But we have a whole different kind of adventure with our next story: 8,000-foot tall peaks, some serious horsepower, and one man who knows how to give you a wild ride on the river.
Big Summer is brought to you by Cultus Lake Water Park, BC's #1 water park.
I call it the study of the hydrology. Knowing what's going on, what's happening on the surface, tells me what's underneath on the base of the river.
After 20 years of running the Green River in Pemberton, spending 100 to 120 days a year getting to know every corner, the only thing stronger than the water's current is Eric Pejota's passion for jet boating.
Every trip is different. So the water levels change. At a certain level, there's one move where I actually have to throw the boat on edge sideways to get it through 2 rocks, else we're hitting bottom. It's like flying an airplane at low altitude through a tight canyon. There's just no room for air. So So it really takes 110% of my concentration on every time I'm running up there. 4 buckles.
1 part merman, 1 part speed junkie. This rally car driver hosts 1-hour jet boat tours leaving the meadows at Pemberton Golf Course every summer. Eric first eases his guests into the tour with easy cruising Grade 1 waters.
We're actually going to head downriver for a couple kilometers to the confluence of the Lillooet and the Green River. Kind of neat. It's a very dramatic contrast in the colors of the 2 rivers. There's no dams or reservoirs on this system. It's what we call a free-flowing river. Okay, there's no dikes or roads or anything on this section, so we're going to be the only boat out here.
But not the only heartbeat.
The nest we're looking at up here on the top of the big Douglas fir tree, that's an osprey nest.
Birds, beavers, and bears are not an unusual sight here on the water.
There's been a big male bear just hanging out upriver. Yesterday we were sitting here, a nice river otter swam right across in front of us.
Add hunter and world-class mountaineer to Eric's never-ending portfolio, and from that comes tales about the changing landscapes flying by, like BC's highest vertical relief.
This is one of my favorite viewpoints of Mount Currie, which is the peak off to our left here.
In 1987, this ski legend made the first descent on this 8,000-foot tall summit.
It's been a big part of my life, this mountain. I've skied it over 20 times, and yeah, it's totally respect it. It's one of the top 50 classic ski descents in North America.
What was once ice and snow now feeds the Green River Canyon, where whitewater shifts this rip-roaring time into full speed at Nairn Falls Provincial Park.
And there might be a little humidity coming over the windscreen of the boat in the form of H2O, 40-degree clean Green River water. So I hope you're not afraid of a little cold water. Whistler jet boating, it's not like Disneyland here. There's definitely no strings attached.
You can see why they call this the Green River Thriller. You definitely want to hang on as you enter the last leg of this trip, leading up to the entranceway at Nairn Falls. It's the end of the line, so if you want to explore this 200-foot tall waterfalls, you got to do so on foot.
We run some pretty solid grade 3 plus whitewater, and yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's really exciting.
Both for guests and their host. From Pemberton, I'm Nicole Fitzgerald for Big Summer.
Big Summer is brought to you by Cultus Lake Water Park, BC's #1 water park.
If an afternoon's not enough for you, Whistler Jet Boating also hosts a 3-day jet boating adventure on the Thompson River. You're watching The Express at the Vancouver Folk Music Festival, and it's time now for our Cultus Lake Big Summer Spotlight on other cultural events. Every Sunday in July and August, Music in the Park features the finest professional musicians from across Metro Vancouver, playing a variety of genres including jazz, blues, folk, world fusion, and contemporary. City laneways are being reimagined and local businesses are opening their back doors for a smoking sausage cook-off. Musicians will also perform on a temporary stage near a new night market. Immerse yourself in Jamaican culture and dance to some reggae music, enjoy some authentic Jamaican patties, and even see a bobsled race. Thanks for watching today's Express. We're going to leave you with another Vancouver summer tradition, a little Bard on the beach, and we'll see you next time.
Oh, no. What is here?
Too long a pause for that which you find there?
The portrait of a blinking idiota? Oh, much art thou unlike to Portia! Oh, much unlike my hopes and my deservings! Who chooseth me shall have as much as he deserves, that I deserve no more than a fool's head! Is that my pride?
Promise me life, and I'll confess the truth.
Well then, confess and live.
Confess and love had been the very sum of my confession. Oh, happy torment, when my torturer doth teach me answers for deliverance. But let me to my fortune and the caskets.
Away then. I am locked in one of them. If you do love me, you will find me out.